What if I told you that stress isn't real? Not in the way you think. It's an illusion, a trap set by your own mind. And the ancients knew exactly how to break free. You wake up in the middle of the night, heart pounding, mind racing. That deadline, that bill, that conversation replaying over and over in your head. It feels like the walls are closing in. But ask yourself, what is stress really? Stress is a ghost, an invisible weight pressing down on your chest. It has no shape, no substance, and yet it can crush you. But here's the truth. Stress isn't in the event itself. It's in your reaction to it. History is filled with people who faced unimaginable hardships, yet remained unshaken. Let's go back to 165 AD. The Roman Empire is thriving, but an invisible enemy is creeping in. The Antonine Plague. It kills nearly 5 million people. The streets of Rome are lined with the sick and the dying. And who is at the center of it all? The emperor himself, Marcus Aurelius. His empire is crumbling, his people are suffering, and yet his meditations, his personal diary, reveals no panic, no despair. Instead, he writes, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Fast forward to another moment in history. The year is 1944. Viktor Frankl, an Austrian psychiatrist, is being transported to Auschwitz, stripped of his belongings, separated from his wife, forced into unimaginable horror. Yet in the midst of it all, he makes a groundbreaking realization. Everything can be taken from you, except one thing, your ability to choose how you respond. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, he recalls watching fellow prisoners wither away under the weight of despair, while others, despite facing the same horrors, remained mentally resilient. The difference? Perspective, acceptance, the ability to control one's own mind. Now, zoom out. Look at today's world. The constant notifications, the unrealistic expectations, the pressure to succeed. We are bombarded with stressors at every turn. And yet, our ancestors faced war, famine, plagues, and many of them endured with unshakable resolve. Why? Because they understood a secret that modern society has forgotten. The Stoics knew that stress is not about what happens to you, but how you interpret it. The same way a sailor doesn't curse the storm, but learns to navigate it, the Stoics saw adversity not as an enemy, but as a teacher. Imagine two people stuck in traffic. One is fuming, gripping the wheel, cursing every red light. The other, they're calm, accepting, listening to a podcast, knowing that their frustration won't change a thing. Same situation, two entirely different experiences. One is a prisoner of their emotions, the other, free. Epictetus, a former slave turned philosopher, put it plainly. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view they take of them. He had every reason to be bitter. He was born into servitude, physically abused by his master, and yet he refused to let his circumstances define his mind. He didn't just survive, he thrived. And then there's Seneca, one of the wealthiest and most powerful men of his time. A man who had everything, money, influence, status, and yet he lived every day preparing for loss. He practiced sleeping on the floor, eating only bread and water, stripping himself of luxury, not because he had to, but because he wanted to master his fear, to prove to himself that even if he lost everything, he would still be himself. That's what stress really is, a fear of losing control. But here's the paradox. The more you try to control everything, the more powerless you feel. The key isn't to grip tighter, it's to let go. Think of stress like quicksand. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink. But if you stop fighting, if you lean back and float, you survive. The Stoics understood this. They knew that life would throw storms, but instead of resisting, they adapted. They learned to bend like a reed in the wind rather than snap like a brittle branch. Now, look at your own life. What are you fighting against? That boss who won't change? That past mistake you can't undo? That future uncertainty? The more you resist, the more you suffer. The moment you accept, the weight lifts. So what's the solution? The Stoics left us a blueprint, 5 timeless principles that can turn stress into strength, chaos into clarity, and pressure into power. They are not just theories. They are battle-tested strategies used by warriors, emperors, and survivors throughout history. Let's uncover them. Secret 1. Control what you can. Let go of what you can't. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The Stoics understood that most stress comes from trying to control the uncontrollable. Instead, focus on your actions, your mindset, and your responses. Everything else, let it go. You can't control the economy. You can't control how others treat you. But you can control how you respond. Epictetus said, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not." The moment you accept this, stress loses its grip. Focus only on what's within your power. Secret 2. View obstacles as opportunities. Seneca believed that hardship is not something to fear, but something to embrace. Every challenge holds a lesson. Every setback is a test of character. The question isn't, "Why is this happening to me?" but "How can I use this?" Obstacles are not roadblocks. They are stepping stones. Marcus Aurelius believed that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The next time stress hits, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Secret 3. Practice voluntary discomfort. By deliberately exposing yourself to discomfort, whether it's fasting, cold showers, or sleeping on the floor, you train your mind to handle stress before it arrives. This was Seneca's method. He believed that when you become comfortable with discomfort, nothing can shake you. The Stoics prepared for the worst, not to live in fear, but to free themselves from it. Seneca would mentally rehearse losing everything, so when hardship came, he was already prepared. Imagine losing what you fear most. Suddenly, it has no power over you. Secret 4. Memento mori. Remember you will die. The Stoics meditated on death, not to be morbid, but to remind themselves of what truly matters. When you realize that life is short, petty worries fade away. What remains? Purpose, presence, peace. Memento mori. Remember you must die. It may sound grim, but it's freeing. Knowing that life is fleeting makes every moment more valuable. When stress threatens to consume you, ask yourself, if today were your last day, would this truly matter? Secret 5. Amor fati. Love your fate. Success isn't measured by money, fame, or approval. It's measured by how well you live by your principles. The Stoics believed that if you live with courage, wisdom, justice, and temperance, you've already won. No external event can take that from you. Nietzsche later echoed this Stoic principle, amor fati, love your fate. Instead of resisting what happens, embrace it. Accept the uncontrollable. Find meaning in every twist and turn. The world will never stop throwing challenges your way, but you don't have to be at their mercy. The choice is yours. Will you remain a prisoner of stress, or will you reclaim your power? The answer lies in your perspective, and in these 5 unshakable Stoic secrets. So here's the question. Will you keep letting stress control you? Or will you take back your power? The truth is, life will never be free of chaos. You will face hardships. You will experience pain. But now you have a choice. You can let these moments break you, or you can use them to build an unshakable mind. The same way Marcus Aurelius did as Rome burned. The way Viktor Frankl did in Auschwitz. The way countless others have throughout history. Your stress isn't your enemy. It's your teacher. Every challenge is a lesson. Every hardship, an opportunity to grow. And every moment of suffering, a test of who you choose to become. So what will you do with that knowledge? Will you apply it? Will you shift your mindset? Or will you let another day slip by, chained to the same old worries? The choice is yours. But if you're ready to break free, to master your emotions instead of being mastered by them, then welcome. You're now walking the path of the Stoic. And if you found this valuable, don't keep it to yourself. Share this wisdom, subscribe for more insights. And remember, true freedom begins in the mind.